Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are playing 1-2 at full tilt. I believe I said in my last video that I was going to make a 1-2 video, and so that's what we're doing today. I've been mining these games. This is the first hand I've played on the right, first hand I've played on the left. But I've been mining them for the last hour or so we would have some numbers, because I don't like readless videos. So. And I also like to be able to select good tables. And that's generally how I table select. I generally just open up a ton of tables and I let Poker Ace just show me where the fish are. So that's what we're doing today. And it's Saturday, so generally you can find some good games on Saturday. So Money Evil is the big reason we're at this table. And as you can see, credit total is the big reason we're on the right table. So this is obviously a good situation. 30, bump it up a little bit more. Someone's going to call us. Really want to maximize get as much value as we possibly can. And when you're out of position, you always want to take away the other player's positional advantage by making the pot as big as you can get away with pre-flop. So I expect him to, if he doesn't call, then credit total is going to call, because we can see that he's just credit total. Oh, that's surprising. We can just see that credit total is just a horrible player. Okay, so he just smooth calls. I'm going to make, let me think here. I've been playing around with my 3-betting size. This is such a great board for our hand that I want to make it look like I'm just kind of stabbing with ace-king. This is such a great board that I really don't want to scare him off of 10-10, Jack-Jack. Okay, great. I got him to push in with deuces. Now, that's exactly why I made that smallish 3-bet, smallish continuation bet. Because, when you bet 2/3 into something, into a 3-bet pot, it generally often does not convey a whole lot of strength. It makes it look like what I wanted it to look like. I wanted it to look like I was stabbing with ace-king and I missed. And I'm surprised you put it in with deuces. I was expecting action from like 8s, 9s, 10s, something like that. Obviously, if he has overcards, we're not going to get much from him unless he decides to make a big move. But again, when you bet a little bit, when you make a smaller bet, it opens up the possibility of that move happening. If I'd fired full pot into that, it's far less likely he's going to come after us with, a dry ace-king or something like that. So I like to open up, make it look like he's got some solid fold equity. And he walked right into that one, and that worked out very well. Okay, so now we've seen credit total do some calling and some folding after he gets raised. So that's interesting. We're going to punish that behavior if that continues. I'm not going to fight with 6-3 here. Now I got to talk about the dynamic on this left table a little bit. We're sitting here. I was choosing between this table and another one. And right before I started the video, the fish on the other table got stacked. So that made the decision pretty easy. Money Evil is horrible. That's why we're here. Now, Smaptastic is a StoxPoker member. I'm sure you've seen him posting on the forums. He generally chimes in on a lot of different hands, and his analysis is usually very good. I've done some coaching with him in the past, and he plays a strong game of poker. Now, I didn't really want to sit with him because I don't like it when there's some sort of artificial dynamic in a video where someone knows the guy who's making the video and they try to outplay him or make some sort of crazy move. That's just ridiculous, and there's not a lot you can learn from that because it's basically two friends fighting for it for no real reason, and that's just not how you get better, and that's not how I'm going to be teaching you guys to get better. So basically I decided that, however, Money Evil, not only is Money Evil horrible, he's got almost a double stack. So that really, I figured the pros of having him at our table and making some money outweighed having Smaptastic here. Plus, we've got position on Smaptastic, so, that's... If Money Evil leaves, I'm going to pause the video and find another... Okay, never mind. We've got position on Smaptastic, and I'm not, I'm just not too concerned about him. One thing I do know is right before I started making the video, he IM'd me, and was basically complaining about a few bad beats. So he might be on tilt. That's something we're going to keep in mind, you know. And yeah, he's a buddy of mine, but like, you know, poker is poker and business is business. And if I think he's on tilt and we're playing together, then, you know, I'm going to use every piece of information I have to beat him. So that's something I'm going to keep in mind too. So we have a little interesting dynamic on the left table. Hopefully we can use all that information to our advantage. So let's see what we got going here. Credit total just picked up some chips. I didn't really see the hand, but okay. This hand we can raise. 10-9 flops all right out of position, and we want to make it clear that we also want to establish kind of what the dynamic is at the beginning of the game between me, the small blind, and the big blind. Just like I want to establish the dynamic between me, the big blind, and Zaner, the small blind, if we are in a blind battle. And I like to figure out what that dynamic is as quickly as possible, and I like to adjust as quickly as possible there. And if he starts to adjust to me, then we'll adjust our play back and hopefully be one step ahead of him the whole time. But obviously we're going to be playing a lot more pots as the big blind versus him than the small blind versus Graf Stacula, if that's his name. So that's just something else to keep in mind. I haven't really seen a whole lot of reason to... we haven't really had much of an... Well, let's just go ahead and raise this. In a situation like this, you know, I want to see how loosely this guy's going to be calling from the big blind. That's going to be important, because if he calls every time he's in the big blind against our raise, we're going to have to trim it down a little bit. We're going to have to, you know, adjust our range downward and raise fewer hands just because we don't have that fold equity. So these are all things I like to figure out very quickly after arriving at the table. So I don't waste a lot of time or money making incorrect plays. So he calls. This looks like a 10. This looks like a flush draw. This could even be a 4. The thing is, nothing has changed here. He still has a flush draw. He still has top pair. You know, I don't see anything. I'd be surprised if he folds to a turn bet. So I'm going to check, and maybe we can hit our king. Okay, we miss. Now let's see what happens. Okay, he's an aggressive player. I would expect him to bet his 10 here. So I'm going to fire, and I'm going to fire quickly, and I'll explain it in a minute. Okay, he called me. Let's see what he got. Oh, wow. Okay, I was right about the flush draw. I wasn't putting him on a pair to go with it. Now, note how bad that pre-flop call was. That was absolutely horrible. 3-2 suited out of position is just god-awful. Now, about the river play, I knew he didn't have a top pair because he went check, turn, river. And we look at his aggression numbers. This is his flop, turn, and river aggression. I mean, he's got infinity river aggression. So it means he's not doing a lot of checking and calling like he just did with us. He's usually betting or he's folding. And he's going to bet. He would have bet Jack 10 on that river. That's just the type of guy he is. He's a lag. So that right there ruled it out for me. So that looked like a flush draw. And if he has an ace-high flush draw, I'm not going to check it back and just hand him the pot. So, but I also wanted to bet enough so that he could get him off of, like, in case he had a 4, like 5-4, or he had bottom pair. And it turns out he wasn't going to fold that. So all that means for us is we're just not going to bluff him very much at all. We're going to be value betting him. Now, I just bluffed him out of a pot, so that makes me think I can raise more here. And I tried to bluff him out of a pot. Okay, he folded. I thought we were going to get action there because of the move I just tried on him. That's a little unfortunate. That's okay, though. We do want to make a note. Just say, calling station, do not bluff. Played flush draw, passively out of position. And river pot, call, bottom pair, out of position. Okay. So we're starting to get an idea of what kind of guy this guy is. Alright, so this is an easy call. and this is an easy check fold. Against some guys, like, you can certainly make an argument for folding, but we're a little deep, and he's under the gun, so his range is probably tighter and stronger, and which makes me think we certainly have implied odds to hit our set here. And with deep money, that's always a good thing. But there's no other play there than check folding. That board just crushes his range. He hits it so hard. Okay, King 9 offsuit is a hand I will be raising. If it gets, I will fold it. I was going to fold it to a raise, but I'm raising it to. Okay, we don't know much about this guy. Oh man, this guy! I'm so tempted to call now. I'm just gonna fold. This guy's probably ahead of us. He's a 3. Excuse me. Okay, no, never mind. He's a 21-14. Almost misread my own stats. King 9 against a 3-better does not play well. It also doesn't play. We don't know what this guy. We don't know what money Evil's got. A cold call. His cold call of that 3-bet just doesn't tell us anything. We know he's not a good player. Bad players will cold call 3-bets with all kinds of stuff. So I folded based on this guy's 3-bet, not necessarily this guy's cold call. Okay. Now, I haven't played a whole lot of 1-2 in the last year or so, but just seeing the progression from 2-4 to 5-10, I can kind of deduct what 1-2 is going to be like. And again, I'm just kind of estimating here, and I very well could be wrong. But I would, my guess is that very solid poker is going to get the money in this game. And what I mean is, I just don't think there's the I don't expect to see the quantity or the quality of multi-level thinking that you're going to see at 5-10. So how do we adjust our play? The answer is, it's actually pretty simple. In a lot of videos, you're going to see a lot of 3-betting, 4-betting, some pretty sophisticated moves that I just don't think are going to be necessary to do a lot at 1-2. I'm not saying that you shouldn't make those moves and you shouldn't try to work them into your game, because not only I'm sure they're profitable at 1-2, and I'm sure, and they're great to have in your game, because then when you move up, they will already be there, and you'll have a leg up against other players who are moving up as well. But what I mean is, it's just not something you're going to have to constantly be thinking about. It's not going to. This isn't a game where you always have to be worried about being outplayed, and you have to be making thin bluffs or real thin value bets. I think solid positional poker is going to get you the money in this game. I'm checking this because this is so draw heavy. Okay, it's still draw heavy, and this one insta check. Man, if I bet, I'm bluffing. If I bet at this, I'm bluffing. So I'm just going to check. If I get raised, I have to fold because there's a flush and a 4 straight. So I'm not going to show down 2 pair on this board against a raise. So I'm just going to try to show it down. Let's just see what happens. I might call 1 here. I don't know anything about this guy. We don't have numbers. I would expect a lot of players to semi-bluff this in position. So I'm going to call 1. Oh, that is just fantastic. Okay, now we got to figure out what the best line is. I really like a river check raise. I have a hard time believing. Well, maybe not. Let's think about this. I just don't know anything about the guy. I'm gonna just fire pot at him, because if FTP will bet, okay, he insta folded. He didn't have anything, and the reason I led instead of check raising is because if he doesn't have anything and I call that turn, he's not going to fire again. Look how scary that board was. If he's bluffing and I call there, he's certainly not firing again. But if he does have a 10 or a flush, he's going to have a hard time folding. So, considering he checked the flop back, if he had a flush draw or a 10, I would have expected him to bet. So I really don't think he had much. So, and I didn't expect him to bluff either. So that's a really tough spot to get value. And, we can kind of, there's really no great line there, because when we don't think he's going to bluff, but we also don't think he's going to have much, how do you get value? And I went with the decision to just fire in case he did have one of those drawing hands, then he could call. But I definitely think that's the correct play there. He's just, no one's going to bluff on that board. Like, that's just ridiculous. So we just kind of had to hope he had something that he could call with. All right. I've raised. I've bet. We know this guy likes to call lightly. He just limped in. Is this guy going to limp an ace from under the gun? Maybe. A lot of lags do that. I like a double barrel here. I think if 10 is likely, he could have a 9. And if he has a 9, then we're going to find out about it really quick. Okay, now we're giving up, obviously. I think he limped in with ace 5, ace 6 probably. I like the double barrel because we know he calls light, and this is a great board to keep firing at. If he doesn't have an ace, it's going to be hard for him to call the second bullet. But he did, so now we give up. Ace 7. So what did I say? Don't worry, we're going to get money from this guy. It's not looking like it at the moment, but we are. The important thing is we put all this great information to good use, which we're certainly going to do. Limped and called ace 7 suited under the gun. Played ace board passively. Out of position. Okay. We're paying very close attention to this guy, and if we sit here, if things go all right, we're gonna get his money. Okay, 10 queen. This is a hand. Let's bump it up. It'll play well if this guy calls us out of position, which he very well might. Okay, everybody folds. But going back to what I was saying about some of the lower games, it's just really important to build very solid fundamentals for no limit. And okay, I don't like some players that 3-bet. I do have history with him, but I don't right here. Okay, that's a good flop. And I'm going to play this passively because if I raise, I'm only going to get action from a better ace. Or unless he decides to put a move on me. And then it's a really thin decision, and that's just not how I want to play this hand. So, okay, now we just have a phenomenal hand now. Flush draw, straight draw, top pair. How do we get him to put as much money as possible in? Let's see what he does. If you trying to think of what's better, betting. Okay, I'm going to bet now for sure. I think check raise on his part would be very... If he check raises, we're going to have a decision, but this is for value. This hand's just way too valuable to just check behind. Okay, that is interesting. He could have another real weak ace, is my concern here. I mean, he could have any other ace beats us, obviously. So, if I fire again, I'm not sure he's going to call with his king. I'm just going to check. I just don't see us getting value from anything we really beat. So, okay. He wasn't going to fold that. That's fine. Now, a lot of people do not defend their big blind enough. And ace 4 suited is a great hand to be playing in position in a blind battle. And you want to be playing a lot of hands in that spot because it's such a profitable position. And this is something that I'm sure if I played enough 1-2, it would be a really profitable spot for me. It's something that you don't really see a lot of players play that spot well until some of the higher stakes. So, it could be a really strong. I would guess that at the lower games, it could really be a strong addition to your game to really strengthen that up. Last time I played 2-4, I was running bad and I was playing 2-4, and I think I played like Queen 8 offsuit against and a lot of times I 3-bet. I don't just call as the big blind in a blind battle. But the last time I played 2-4, I smooth called Queen 8 against a small blind, and I flopped something awesome. I had what was it? I flopped again some sort of draw, and maybe a flush draw. No, you know what it was? I flopped trip 8s. That's what it was. And I flopped trip 8s, and let's see. The action, I think I just called this bet. We got min check raise. We're gonna call one. I'm just not folding a pair to a min check raise. I think it's a weak move out of position. Very easily could be a flush draw. Now he insta fires half pot. Like, what's he doing this with? 9s, 10s? God, readless. I just really, man. I don't really want to donk off double this guy up. I'm just gonna fold. I'm not convinced he has a better hand, but stack sizes are weird, and he'll have an easy river shove if I call there, and it's just, I don't know. It's definitely thin. You can make a case for calling. Anyway, back to what I was saying. And I flopped trip 8s, and I stacked this guy who had king king, and he went on and on in the chat box for like half an hour about what a donk I was for defending my big blind in a blind battle with queen 8 offsuit. It's like, are you kidding me? I mean, queen 8 off is like the most average hand in Hold'em. It's like right at the 50% mark. But so what? I mean, I would have defended with queen 4 suited. I mean, it's just to call that a bad play is absolutely atrocious. And you know, you have to defend a lot because you're not going to be folding. You can't be folding your big blind to the small blind raise when you're going to have position on every freaking street in the hand. It's just, you have to defend a lot, and you have to be aggressive. You have to make the guy dread raising something like ace 10 against you because he knows he's going to have a really hard time playing the hand out of position. Like that's what you want when you're in the big blind. So, okay, I think I made my point. Hopefully, I led into this guy. He called me. Now this board that's the worst card in the deck. I can't call a bet here because for one, the board could get even worse. 2, he could be ahead at this point. 3, I'm gonna have to call a bigger river bet with a very marginal hand. So I'm gonna fold. And that's okay. You know, this is what I was talking about, playing solid poker. Trying to show that hand down against this guy out of position on that board is, in my opinion, not a winning proposition. So, solid out of position play is very important. We're not going to get carried away, and we're certainly not, going to make a bunch of hero call downs with hands like that. Trust me. Our cards alone, playing our position correctly and playing our cards correctly are all we need to get this guy's money. So we're just going to be patient, and we're going to hope that, we get some good spots. We already have an image with him. He thinks that we're kind of, all right, this is getting irritating. I'm going to call this guy with the intention of moving him off his hand on the flop. Okay, that's a horrible flop for it, unfortunately. Let's just see what let's see what he does here. He calls. We know his 3-betting range is wide because he's been 3-betting us like crazy. I'm going to call 1, and the intention here is to bluff a later street. If he doesn't have an ace, okay, he checks his ace. Or she checks his hand. Insta check. Let's bet. 75. If he check raises, obviously we fold. But, okay. That's exactly why I called pre-flop, exactly why I called the flop. Is because we know his range is wide, and if he doesn't have an ace, after his continuation bet, what can he do about it? Absolutely nothing. Like, what can he do with king-king there? After I call the flop, he's screwed. So it's exactly why I did that, and I'm glad that worked out well. Now, okay, we're not like deep, but the bottom line, and this is speculative, the bottom line is we have implied odds against this guy. He's an over aggro fish, and we're in position with we flop our flush draw. That's just awesome. Okay, now the question is, do we bet? It's a very good question. Let's look at I want to look at his check raise number. It's low. It's 0 actually, but we only have 100 hands. Let's bet. Betting here does have drawbacks. There's no question about it. We're putting ourselves in a spot with a great draw, but a draw we're going to have to fold if he moves all in. However, I have to think that after he checks on that board, he's weak. And the reason I say that is because I'm not expecting this guy. The only hand I would expect this guy to check is queen, queen, queen for the top set. There's a straight draw out there. This guy's very aggressive. He's not going to check ace, ace there. I just don't see it happening. And I don't even see him checking queen, ace, queen there. And that wouldn't make any sense either. So on that board, a check, I think I'm going to take it for what it is. And I'm going to, I think he's probably a straightforward lag. And, I'm sure this guy runs bluffs, but when he checks right there, I just don't see him. It looks like he's giving up. So I think my fold equity there was exceptional. And that is exactly why I bet. Now, if he did something like call me, I would expect his calling hand to be something like king, queen. Yes, he could 3-bet king, queen. Jack, jack. He's 10-10, something like that. So if he calls me, it was possible he was going to call me. But I did not expect a check raise at all. But he very well could have called me. And in that case, whatever. We have all of our outs. We still have the betting lead, which means we might be able to see the river for free. So all good things. In general, I think a bet is a stronger play, and we took down a nice pot. It's also an inflated 3-bet pot. You got to be taking those down. That's why we call 3-bet pots with position, is so we can do that on the flop. So very, very important. Now this table on the right is just not delivering. We have the fish left. We're playing with a bunch of tags. This is not a profitable spot. I'm going to get on a waiting list and try to replace that table. Unfortunately, this table on the left has enough action for us, so we're certainly in no we're certainly not without action. But okay, perfect. Something just popped up. I was on this wait list. Okay, great. The timing for that could not have been better. Okay, we're just gonna dump this table. I don't really care about playing the small blind with the button. And here we are. Let's see. So top choice, and the fish left on this table too. I just took the fish's seat. Well, whatever. Okay, here I raised. Very dry board. Let's just fire at it. Okay, we get called. Great card. I'm going to. I don't have history with this guy. A lot of players I would check raise. A lot of players I would check call. A lot of players I would bet hard because they know that I know it's a great card to bluff at. Here I'm putting this guy on either a flush draw, 9-9. If he had a set, he would have raised by now. I'm sorry, not 9-9, like 9-10 or something. And I'm going to tank it and shove. I'm going to tank it to make sure I don't really know what to do. I want him to call me. He calling me with 9-10 is light, but what am I going to do? And so I'm going to shove him in, obviously. I'm certainly not going to bet 60 into a 170. I mean, the stack sizes are fantastic for me to put him in. He's getting what? Almost 3 to 1. I mean, I expect a call a lot of the time. And he put himself in this terrible position by calling the turn. So let's just see what happens. I certainly don't expect him to bluff at it if I check. Therefore, betting is clearly the play. I don't expect him to bet simply because I've now fired twice. Because I fired the turn when the king showed up. I mean, I made it clear I like that card. Okay, what we got here? I can't wait to see this. Okay, he had exactly what I said he did. 9-8 that he wouldn't let go of. And he says that's a sick value bet. I think that was a very standard value bet. Maybe there's a difference between the way I think and the way these 1-2 regulars think. I don't think that was sick at all. I mean, his hand looked exactly like what it was, and it was so obvious. Like, why calls the flop? So he either has a flush draw or 9 or a suited connector that had a 9 in it, or if he was getting really tricky, a set. But I really don't think that was possible, considering I think we could rule the set out on the turn. But I also think a set raises on a flush draw board. Anyway, so then he calls the turn. A set would have definitely raised the turn because there's the king's out there. Yeah, I'm gonna bluff. I could be bluffing at it. Yeah, you're right. I also was that not like I'm pretty sure that was an under the gun raise. So the king hits my range pretty hard. I mean, when the king shows up and they fire again, like you can be a hero and make that call down, which is what that guy decided to be. But in general, I'd probably it's hard to say what I would do in his spot, but from my we're gonna 3-bet Snaptastic. From my point of view, the river shove was absolutely mandatory. He made it clear that he had the 9, and we didn't expect him to bluff the flush draw if we checked it to him after I bet the turn. So, I got exactly what I wanted out of that hand, and I really did not like his river call. But, and I also don't think my value bet was anything special. I think it was standard. So I want to make sure that that is something I hope everyone can take away from this. Value betting hands like that in games like this is going to be super profitable, and that's what I'm talking about. Strong fundamentals. Know when your hand is probably best, and even if it might feel a little thin, like maybe you're not used to making a play like that, just it's important to be able to go with it. Okay, I'm checking out another table up here. That guy. Okay, no, I'm not going to play it. We're just going to stick with this other table down here. We're getting enough great discussion off this left table that, I don't feel the need to find some other fish on the right table. So I think that it's an important lesson. Now, this is a great situation because we now have as much money as Money Evil does. So hopefully we can win some sort of massive pot off of him. I think he's exactly the kind of player that will overplay a big pair, probably not overplay a flush draw this deep, but definitely overplay a big pair. Maybe even something like top pair, top kicker with like ace king. Those are the type of hands I'm hoping we can make a better hand against. So hopefully we can line something like that up. Okay. Fantastic raises. He has 2 cards there. 9-3. I'm not going to even try to get cute with. It's just stupid. So, okay. Now this is like the 4th straight video I've run well in, which is, I mean, I should just make videos whenever I just play because, I'm running so bad at everywhere else. It's just disgusting. So I'm at least it feels good to win. I don't really care if it's at 1-2 or not. It's gonna help out a little bit. All right, so 9-8 standard open. We obviously want him to call. Now, if he had 3-bet, we would have definitely called with these stacks. Another great flop. We know this guy has been, in my opinion, he may have been out of line on that other hand where I folded the 6-8. Hard to say, but we're going to keep in mind that it is possible he gets out of line. Okay. Now, how do we get all the money in? I'm going to bet 35. 36, 37. Now what I'm doing, I'm setting this up. 37 plus 37. Okay, perfect. The whole idea was if he called, we'd have an easy river shove. It would have been a little bit less than a pot bet in his stack for me to shove. Obviously, we're putting this in right here. I mean, I'm curious to see what he has. I wonder if it was air. God, that'd be hilarious. If he folds here, then I hate his bluff. For obvious reasons. He put half his stack in on a bluff. That's just, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he thinks he has a great read on me and he's willing to do that. Okay. If you're going to do that, I would shove in and maximize if he has air there, then shove the money in and try to maximize your fold equity. Like a little min raise. I mean, maybe he thinks I'm going to fold to that, but there's not a lot of hands I'm going to fold to a min raise. And I'm very unconvinced by min raises. So if you're playing with me and you try to min raise me, do it for value because it's not going to work as a bluff. All right. Clearly, we're going to bet our top pair. Okay, now what? Interesting card. Very interesting card. We know he calls me light. You know, he calls us so light. We're just gonna bet for value. I mean, yeah, we don't. There's not a lot of kings we beat. But those aren't the hands that I'm putting him on. I'm putting him on 10 Jack, Jack 10-9, you know, Queen Jack. I'm putting him on second pair type hands. I'm not putting him on top pair hands. Now, let's see here. That 7. It's just still a 2-card straight board. This is what I was talking about, value betting thing. I guess that's the theme of this video. Oh my god, what just happened? Did I check? Oh man, I was gonna bet. Oh, did I just misclick? I was gonna bet. That's okay. He had 8-5, so I don't think he was gonna call a river bet. I was going to bet the river. I want to make that very clear. I guess I was looking over here and I misclicked. I don't know. Sorry about that. I was gonna bet half pot there because I wanted him to look me up. I was putting him on a second pair type hand. And he actually had a third pair type hand. So I was going to value bet and try to get him like Jack 10 to call. Now, that's a thin value bet. Like, look at this board. I'll fold this. Now, look at this board. Like, that's a scary board. I mean, it makes a lot of 2-pair hands. It makes some straights. But we know he doesn't have a straight because he would have played it a lot differently. Sure. Okay, another good flop. Let's lead. Now, so that's what I was trying to accomplish there. And I would have bet half pot. I guess I'm sure he would have folded. I mean, but nonetheless, I wanted to value bet this, and I think it's a good spot to value bet like half pot because of what we've seen this guy do on past hands. Okay. Okay, this guy likes what he has. Wow, and a call. This is interesting. I led because a lot of times pre-flop raisers. First off, I called this because it's a nice suited connector, even out of position, and I don't really play this hand for like top pair type things, but 3-way, good pot odds to come in. You know, that's okay. Closing the action, I don't really mind it. Some people would call it loose. I would call it loose in some games, but that's okay. Question is here now. We're getting 4-1 on this call. Clearly, that's great. That's exactly what we need to see the turn card. Probably not gonna be able to see the river card. Shit, I gotta make a decision. I'm just gonna call. Okay, we missed. I did not want to push because I don't expect this guy to fold, and I don't think he's doing this with a hand I beat, with a hand that I'm flipping against, or a hand I'm a favorite against. I think I have 9 outs to my flush draw. I don't. Okay, this guy has Jack-Jacks through Ace-Ace, and I did not have outs to overcards. Had I had overcard outs, even 3, I don't think I have any. But if I thought I had 3 overcard outs, I would have shoved the flop and flipped with my 12 outs, but I don't think I did. So I decided to just take my break-even call, and we're going to get to see it. See, Ace-Ace. Oh, and he had 8-9 anyway. So, so that is why I didn't shove, because I did not think I had overcard outs. So I was more than happy to take my break-even. That call is break-even, by the way. 50 into for just my 9 outs for my flush. So, you know, I'm happy to take the break-even play there and try to see the turn, and then I can shove from there or let him shove. You know, it's a much more profitable line than shoving that flop with only 9 outs. This guy made it very clear he had a big pair the way he played the hand. So, I think it's just another example of solid fundamental play. You know, don't overestimate how many outs you have. And like that guy played his hand so strong, he insta raised the flop. He would just play it so strong. I just didn't think there was any way he had 10-10. I mean, it just didn't make any sense. So, especially when I led into him. I led into him trying to represent an 8 and push him off like ace-king or something. So, when that didn't happen, it was obvious what the guy had. So, you know, always try to... you always want to be conservative when you're estimating outs. I mean, you want to be real... I mean, obviously you want to be dead on, but you don't want to be optimistic, because then, you know, then you're just going to be putting the money in too light without odds, and just mathematically you're just going to lose, and you don't want that. So, okay. Money evil is... raise any... Okay, everybody folds. Sorry, got a little distracted. Okay, we're just going to check. I don't know what this guy is limping under the gun with, but I don't like it at all. This guy raises. Okay, I'm just going to fold. I was actually planning on telling you guys a little bit about my poker background and, you know, what I've been doing poker-wise for the last couple of years. There's a lot of action in this video, so I didn't really get to that. So I'll hang on to that for the next video. I kind of figured that, you know, if I was a StoxPoker member and, you know, this random dude, Hunter, started making videos, I'd probably want to know why the hell he's qualified to be doing it and what his story is, because I'm certainly no internet celebrity. But, you know, so I was just going to talk about that a little bit. So I'll do that in the next video, though, because I'm probably going to get interrupted again because we've been getting good action, and I like to keep my videos around the 50-minute mark. Yeah, I really don't like... I think by the time that 50 minutes goes by, you know, it's generally enough is enough. You can't make your point in 50 minutes, then it's time to move on, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to bump this up. Again, deep stacks, nice implied odds for this hand. So, and Sproyo's numbers keep getting better and better too, by the way. This is a great flop. This is a flop that he just cannot have much. So, easy pot bet. I mean, we know he likes to call with weak hands, but I mean, that just misses so many hands he calls with. Another easy open. Okay, this is a good result. Trying to decide what to do here. We don't have a ton of hands in this guy. Am I out of time? Okay, no, that's the other table. A lot of times I call and see a flop, but I've been raising so much. I really think this guy is just trying to make a move. So let's just... we're just going to 4-bet him. You know, I really think... I just raised 4 straight hands, so I'm sure he's getting sick of me. Okay, easy. This is a good flop over here, too. Let's check and call. Question, I mean, I can make a very strong case. I'm just going to check. I'm going to let him fire. Okay. Let's see. Had I bet there, he obviously would have folded. The thing is, like, that's like the safest flop in the world for my ace-king. I'm behind ace-ace, and that is it. So that's just one of those spots where not often am I going to get action from a weaker hand unless I check it and let him try to fire. And it's a 4-bet pot. I mean, clearly it's just too irresistible to try to bluff at and take down. So I don't like his call of that 4-bet. I mean, my 4-bet range is heavily weighted toward big pairs and ace-king. So he's flipping at best against, you know, a small amount of my range. So that's just not a... I think he should have folded pre-flop, but whatever, you know, that's why we make 4 bets, and that's why we able to make money off guys like that. Okay. Gaucho Bluffs, that's an interesting name. Ace-9, okay, it's easy. I'd be curious to see what secret surface was 3-betting me with and then folding on that flop. I mean, that flop hits his... I didn't bet the flop because it hit his 3-betting range so hard. Ace-king's like the only hand it missed. So, you know, queens, jacks through aces like that flop. Kings aren't thrilled, but nonetheless, I mean, it's a pretty great flop for a 3-betting range. But maybe this guy's just 3-betting light. I mean, that very well could be. So, but when he checks behind, that says to me he just does not want to mess around. He thinks that hit my range too hard. So I don't, you know, I'm gonna... If he's telling me that, I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna do what he thinks I'm gonna do and take it down. So, piece of cake. All right. Another easy bet. You know, I'm sure this guy may have called me with ace-10, but more likely, you know, not. and if he doesn't have an ace, he can't continue. So pretty easy. Plus, I had a gut shot too to fall back on, which is always nice. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go another 5 minutes. So we've really had some great action. This has been fun. Okay. I'd love to get a big hand against Money Evil. That would really just put the icing on this video. That would be fantastic. Okay. I definitely don't see as much. I mean, this is such a small sample size. I mean, I can't really talk intelligently, but from what I've seen, I don't see the 3-demic and 4. What the hell did I just say? 3-betting and 4-betting epidemic that has kind of infested the bigger games. And sometimes it's like I generally can't play those games like for more than a few hours. I just get sick of it. It gets stressful, and I don't really see that as much down here, which in my opinion is a more fun poker game. You actually get to play some post-flop hold'em, which is nice. But nonetheless, it's very, very important to have a strong 3-bet and 4-bet game. Flop and 3-bet pots on flops. Like, we had a good one with the guy who had been sitting right here, and it's just really important to keep think about all the options. Think about what a raise does. Think about what a call does. Think about, if you call, how does that affect his vision of your range and where you can take it from there. So very good stuff to think about. Okay, can't do much here, unfortunately. I don't have any reads on anyone on this right table. Like, I mean, obviously all of our attention's been on the left, but that's okay. Sometimes you have a 2-table video and you have 0 action. It's super boring, but fortunately. Okay, this is going to be a raise. I'm guessing he's going to open. Although maybe not, since this guy folded. I mean, you definitely got to keep in mind, like, think if this guy had limped, like he had been a lot. That changes everybody else's raising range. Everybody else, if he had limped, everyone else is going to want to raise lighter to isolate. So it's much more like this guy's a real hand, and I'm just going to fold. I mean, I have no interest in playing that hand against a raise from a tight player who is not trying to isolate. So when there's a big fish at the table, it drastically affects the dynamic of all the other good players, and you always got to keep that in mind. I talked a little bit about this in my last video, but you really gotta focus on that, and you got to go with your gut on when another good player is putting a move on you because he thinks you're isolating or whatever. I mean, a lot of weird dynamics develop because of that, so you got to pay attention. Okay, let's see. Okay, I am going. God, let's play one more orbit, I guess. I really want to get a big hand against Money Evil. Okay, King 4. This is okay, we have to fold now. But this is a hand I would consider. I'd probably raise the big blind with. Mainly because of its suitedness. I would have definitely folded a King 4 offsuit. But okay, we're just not getting anything. This looks to be a really exciting, barely raised pot between these two. Let's see what happens. Okay, he takes it, Zayner takes it down. Okay, 2-8. Not going to cut it. Jack 4 suited, definitely not going to cut it. So this guy's continuing to limp under the gun. Just, I don't like it. There's just really no reason to be doing it. And I can't think of anything good that's going to come from it. The only thing good that can come from it, in my opinion, is if you somehow know you're going to get 3-bet, you can limp like deuces or threes or something, because then you can just call the raise and see the flop. But I don't know. It's just very weak, and your hand becomes transparent at that point anyway. So, okay. Queen 8. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, King 8. If we're raising King 4 suited, we're definitely raising King 8 suited. This we're going to fold. Deep stacks against a good player. Queen 8 is not something I'm looking to get involved with. I can make a case for if the stacks were shallower, because I don't really want to 3-bet him with trash at this point. I want to 3-bet him with Queen 8 with money this deep is trash, and it's going to be a weak top pair of hands. It has no other real drawing possibilities. It's just not the kind of hand you want to get involved with. Something like 5-6 suited, then I can make a much stronger case for 3-betting. And I would have liked to 3-bet him because he's obviously isolating money evil, and we can take down a nice little pot pre-flop. But the other problem with the deep money is that he has implied odds against my stack to call with pretty much all of his opening range. So I'm not really going to be, I'm really not going to be folding a whole lot of hands. So, okay, another great flop. Into 2 people, we are going to bet this for value and because we want to build a decent pot. And we want to get all the money in. So hopefully someone has smooth called us with like ace jack or something like that. That's too bad. I mean, an option would have been to check there, but I don't know. There's no real history, and without that, I kind of like to just play straightforward. And it would be tragic if it had gone check, 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 and it gets to the turn, and there's no money in the pot, and I've got a great hand. I mean, that's just awful. So you don't want that happening. So I wanted to build a pot. Okay, last few hands. Five, 6. Too late. Okay, I want to see Snaptastic raise here. Okay, good. Unless you just have trash, you should be raising a lot when they limp, because it's such a weak play on their part. Okay, we didn't cash anything else, but that's okay. After this hand, we'll fire Poker Tracker, so okay, I'm gonna fold here. This hand does not fare well against a 3-bet. So on that note, I'm gonna pause it. Okay, as you can see, another great session in a video. The second video in a row I've run over 80 Poker Tracker big blinds per 100. That's just so sick. And God, I wish that would translate into my results of 510. But it's always nice to run well in videos, and so I'm very happy with that. Obviously, these numbers are actually really close to what my real numbers are. Played a 23-20, which felt about right actually. Didn't really feel like I was getting too carried away or anything like that. So that's kind of good to see. I'm trying to think. I don't think there was any special hands that I wanted to go over. The only one would be the one where I lost. Let's see, this one. And this was a blind battle versus Snaptastic. So this was a somewhat interesting spot. Actually, stop it. Let's go right to the flop. A little interesting. Okay, no, this isn't the hand. Never mind, forget it. I think I explained it well enough at the table. Well, I hope everyone liked it, and please leave me some feedback, and I hope everyone is doing well and winning money. So I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks a lot. Bye.